I'm on the road again, guys. It's really cool though, because if you notice, the sun is still up, which is really cool because I can actually shoot driving, which is not normal. Normally, by the time I leave work, especially during the wintertime, it's dark. It's just the way it works out for me. Today, though, I'm fortunate enough to be able to get out of there on a decent time and everything else. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about adapting. Adapting is a term that's used when you have to figure out a way to work with the circumstance or condition that you're currently dealing with. The problem is a lot of people don't adapt. A lot of people have a really hard time adapting. There's an old saying that I heard, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know who started it, or even if it's that old, to be honest. But I heard basically it went like this: adapt or perish. I agree, and the reason why I agree is because you can't become successful, you can't move forward, you can't do the adjustments that you need to make if you're not willing to adapt to your circumstance or to adapt to your situation. And I know adapting is rough. Adapting is very, very hard. The reason why adapting is so hard is because it's change, and people don't deal well with change. Now, I understand why. Change is tough. Change is very, very hard. Change is not easy to make. In all honesty, in most situations, changing sucks, because you get so used to the way you operate and how you do things and what you do that it gets really, really hard to make the adjustments necessary to adapt. But you have to. That's the only way you'll become successful. And I mean in anything. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You have to adapt. Whether it's business, whether it's personal development, whether it's relationship development, whether it's training, whatever you're looking at, you have to adapt. That's the way that works. If you don't adapt, you will more likely wind up failing. Maybe not immediately, but you will. It's just the way that works. And I feel like the best way to keep from failing is just being open-minded to adapting. Julie says this, I believe, I don't know if her Wonder Woman wifey page, I might misquote it, so you might have to check her stuff out to get the exact quote, but it goes something to the effect of, be stingy about your goals and loose about your methods, something like that. And I agree with that saying full-heartedly, because your goals should never change. You should make your goals long-term, short-term, whatever they may be, and you should stick to them at all costs. I'm losing the sunlight over here because of the trees, but I can still see, so it works. So you've got to be able to make adjustments and to adapt to make your goals, though. Because just because it worked once doesn't mean it'll work 95 times. Just because it worked 95 times doesn't mean it'll work 1,000. That's just the way it goes. I'm going to be real and kind of put myself on blast, and I'm okay with it. Back in 2014, 2015, man, I got solid. I lost a ton of weight. I really, really became solid. I got back to my real athletic state. And I was really, really going hard in trainings and everything else. Problem is now, I'm a little bit older. So my body's not taking those training sessions as seriously as it did last time. So I could operate the same. I mean, I do a lot of the same stuff that I did back then. I do a lot of the same dieting routines that I did back then. I do a lot of the same stuff. Problem is, though, my body's changed. So my situation for my training has changed. And I have to adapt to that. I have to adapt to what my body requires me to adapt to make those progressions, to hit those PRs, to drop the pounds I need to drop, like all of that. It's just the way it is. I mean, it's just like any athlete. If you go and you listen to any athlete in a combat sport or a physical sport, football, wrestling, I'm talking about real wrestling, not the fake stuff. But even the fake stuff, they have to make daily adjustments. They have to make yearly adjustments because as their body ages, it doesn't take the things the way it did before. And so they have to make those changes so they can keep evolving with their sport. A lot of MMA athletes, same exact way. A lot of them, they make a lot of adjustments to a lot of their training regimens camp to camp because they have to stay ahead of the curve. They have to stay at the forefront of the sport, and the only way to do that is by adapting. I'm not saying go and like change your whole life. Then again, maybe I am. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need to start, evaluating your situation like that. Maybe you need to start taking those things a little bit more seriously. That's really up to your life and what your goals are. But what I am saying is you got to be flexible with your methods. That's it. See? I listen to her a lot. I listen to her a lot more than she thinks I do. And I actually listen to her a lot more than I even think I do. And there's things that she says that plays in my mind. And it might not be at the very front of my mind, but it's there. So, anyway. I love her. If you can't tell. But you gotta adapt. You gotta adapt to your situations. You have to adapt to your surroundings. You have to adapt to what you have to do to achieve your goals. And so, I guess, biggest point of this video is, if I was to sum it into a nutshell, be open to change. Be open to new ideas. Be open to the new, ways of operating and the new ways of doing things. Because as long as you're open to the new ways of doing things and you're willing to receive the knowledge of other people and those things, man, your potential's limitless in whatever you set your mind to. You've just got to set your mind to it, though. And you got to be willing to make the adjustments, willing to make the adaptations. I don't know if that's a word. But you got to be willing to adapt to it. And that's going to be your way to success. Eric Thomas always says a lot, no failures, just adjustments. And adjustments, that's pretty much the same thing. It's adapting. It's seeing flaws in current structures and making changes so those flaws don't exist anymore. I don't mean to go on a rant about it. I just feel like a lot of people, especially this time of year, like right now, we're talking mid-January. Right now, a great deal of people out there, and I'm not saying this is you. It might be, it might not be. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. But I know a lot of us made New Year's resolutions. And I know right about now, this time of year, it's about mid-January, which means we're almost 20 days into the year. And that means that a lot of us have already blown our New Year's resolution, and we feel like because we blew it, That's it. Out the window with it. We'll try again next year, maybe. I don't know if that's you or not. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, but what I am trying to say, though, is don't give up on it. Just make the changes. Adapt. Do what you need to do so you can change your behaviors that made you fail or making you want to fail or making you want to quit. Make the adjustments so you can be successful. And I'm talking about anything, small stuff. You know, I can't remember, and I believe I even covered this in one video in the past. There's a really, really smart motivational speaker that I caught a video of, and I can't remember his name for the life of me. I'm going to have to look it up because I loved his way of thinking. He basically said, you know, if you want to take on a new hobby, you have to make it more readily available to you. So, like me, for instance, I want to read more this year. The goal for me is to work on my own personal development, my own educational development. So I want to read more. So to help me read more, I've been making reading more available to me. I downloaded Google Books on my phone. I downloaded a bunch of books and comics. You know, don't judge. I download a bunch of stuff, and it gives me the ability to fulfill that goal, to be able to read and fulfill that goal. And it's because I made those things readily available to me. If your goal is to quit smoking, get rid of the stuff that would help you do that. Limit yourself. I'm going to tell you right now, for instance, like my diet, I know at the very beginning, like maybe not so much now, because now that like I am in full-on diet mode, it doesn't bother me as much. But man, I'm telling you what, if I had money in my pocket and I was going somewhere, I wouldn't have a problem grabbing a candy bar or grabbing an extra snack of food or something that I don't need, that doesn't belong in my diet. And so to cut that, I wouldn't call it an addiction, but to cut that want out, I took away the ability to fulfill it. I stopped carrying extra cash with me. Like, I literally leave all my money at home except for the crucial things like money for gas or whatever, and that's it. I cut off all access to any other finances, so I don't have the ability to go do that. Maybe that's what you need to do if you're trying to quit smoking. Cut off the ability for you to do that. Stop carrying money on you. Stop. Get rid of all your lighters. Get rid of all your lighters if you need to. Whatever you need to do to help you. Because that's what you need to do. You need to get rid of what's going to stop you. And you need to put what's going to help you in your life in its place. I'm at about 13 minutes now. I'm going to call it a night. Literally, I'm losing sunlight. I've been throwing the visor light on to try to make up the difference and everything else. So, I will see you later. You guys have a wonderful evening. I'm out.